Welcome back to the Chasing Common Ground podcast. I'm not even sure if Dean's been on the show since I've renamed it, but I renamed it because it's just easier to pile all the conversations into a name that was a bit more straightforward. That said, I think, Dean, this is your fifth time on the show. People should know
Nice.
who you are by now. How are you doing today?
Good. When you were talking before and you're like, it's been 5 times. Like, has it been 5 times? And then when you're like, oh, I changed the name, I'm like, that means that we did 4 times on the old one,
Yeah.
which is even like crazier.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've been doing my show for just about 7 years, and time flies. Like, it's crazy. This has been the industry that I've spent the most time in now. And prior to that, I
Yeah.
was always thinking about previous careers and stuff like that. But one of the cool things going into this is when we look back at old episodes, we talked about how you went from teaching into fitness, but now you're kind of going from fitness into teaching, but staying in fitness, but still having
Yeah.
a role in teaching. So let's talk about that. What's that been like for you?
Yeah. Like, I don't know. Like, this has been the longest I've been in the A industry as well.
Yeah.
So obviously I figured like I need to leave. But no, like I think just over the years, like even so after COVID, I don't even remember our last episode, but after COVID, we more or less shut our gym down because running it under the table and the laws was sketchy at best. And then online took off, and then online took a dip, and online's still there, but I realized I probably should diversify. And then when Andrea got pregnant, we had a child, another child. Um, she so through raising kids, we realized we want to be home more. So she's taking advantage of the 18-month mat leave, which puts a big like empty spot in finances. So I was like, I could probably like work again. Like I'll like look for jobs or like grow online or whatever. And then I legitimately, so you mentioned leaving teaching. I legitimately forgot I was a teacher. Like, it's just, like so far gone. Like, and we did the math. It was like 8 years, and I was like, I can't even be a teacher again. I got to go back to school probably and all this stuff. Anyways, long story short, I don't have to, and I just like more or less got on two smaller districts. So like where I live, and then one of the rural areas, just because I knew some football coaches and I could get on real fast. And then I was like teaching full time pretty fast, actually, like way faster than when I first started. Um, and then I guess it became like the full time thing.
Hmm.
So now I'm a teacher again, and like I took a temp contract at the end of the year, like the last half of the year, and then I'm walking into a short term one in the fall, and then after that I don't know. But yeah, I'm doing it all now. Now I'm a teacher again.
Sweet.
Back to being a teacher.
So how has your perspective on that kind of shifted as you've gotten older, as your priorities have changed, and just as you've known different things in the same space?
Yeah, like quite a bit actually. Like I've talked to this my wife and just a few people who knew the process last time. Like I left hating the school system. Basically, I was like, I got screwed over on a thing because I was on like this temp contract. Anyways, I couldn't sign a contract because I was under contract for this never-ending contract that ended mid-summer, which means I couldn't apply for my own job. And then I was basically gave the two middle fingers to school district, and I was like, I'll go make more money doing something I want to teach anyways, which was in the fitness nutrition space. And I did that. And then, so anyways, coming back to it, I like don't I see it for what it is, and I wasn't like upset about it because two things. I wasn't banking on like basically I put all my eggs into that basket and got juggled around. I had to like give up a coaching job to take a job. Anyways, there was a whole bunch of stuff that I had no control over, and now I don't need it. Like I do and I don't. Like so I'm coming in. I didn't like want to work full time, and then now I'm kind of coming in on my own terms, and I know what I'm getting into. I'm older. I'm not as reliant. I don't have to walk in to a school system begging and pleading, hey, what can I do? I'm just this young kid, wide-eyed, and like I gotta cross my T's and do my I's and da 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 da. And like I just felt like, not insecure, but I don't know, like I was just a young kid. Now I'm not.
Hmm.
I have kids and family and experiences, and I don't know. I just felt way more chill. It was like super easy to connect with other teachers and even like admin. Like I hadn't talked really to an admin in like an adult conversation when I'm like 25 years old because I'm like scared of shit. But like now I am like I'm as old as like the people running the schools, and it's just like they're just colleagues now. I don't feel like I'm this like new, fresh out of school kid. I don't know, and like it's helpful. Like I don't feel embarrassed to be subbing and then teaching on contract. It was just like yeah, like it's awesome.
Yeah.
So it's awesome as opposed to like stressful.
Mhm.
Like it's still stressful teaching, but it's not the same stress. I'm not. Yeah, it's cool.
Well, it's neat how like as we get older, we kind of are able to look at things more constructively based on like facts and not so much on emotion. And it makes it
Hmm.
easier to grow and evolve and learn and get the most out of situations. And I've noticed like you're also doing some coaching with football and stuff. So like how has your mindset influenced your presence as a coach? Like with your competition in jiu-jitsu, with everything that you've learned in your own
Yeah.
personal pursuits, how has that shifted your coaching approach on football?
Yeah, like the difference. So going back to the beginning, when I coached, I got like expedited really fast. Basically, I came right from university to like a positional coach, right to a head coach the second year. So I basically left the team and got given high school program as a head coach, and like as a 26-year-old again kid, it was like a lot. It was like probably like an extra 40 hours a week running a team, and then the situation was just terrible. At one point, we had like 14 kids dressed for like a Division 2, yeah, Division 2 high school, and where we're from, like it's always competitively. I had 14 kids. There's 12 on the field at once. That's crazy. So
Mhm.
I took over a football program that usually teams carry over 50 kids, and I had 24 at one point. Did 14. Anyways, it was just nuts, like just insane, burnt out. And I was also not an athlete at the time, so like it was just a lot, kind of that growing up, emotional, yada yada yada. So I was burnt out from it. So going back into coaching, I basically had that big switch over. We talked about that on one of our podcasts, which is like, I need to be an athlete again because I'm raising kids. I need to show them, hey, you can chase your dreams. You can do all this, but they don't see it unless you do it. And so going back into coaching, like I'm still actively competing in jiu-jitsu, and I have a bunch of other stuff like I'm like full in like athlete with these kids. And so coming from a coaching perspective, as an older athlete, masters, if you will, I'm being coached actively. I'm researching coaching because I'm doing it for my business. So coming from a maturity aspect, I was very interested in coaching, right, and how to coach, and then being coached on both ends. I think really helped me stepping back in, and it was like riding a bike, except for like I was way better at it,
Mhm.
which is crazy because I was coming from a full football background, spent my whole life coaching, but playing. You would think I would have been better then because I was like right in the thick of it, and I'm better now where I thought I would have lost it. And I don't know. I guess experience helped. You could argue coaching longer would help, but I think me stepping away actually made me better at that aspect of it, anyways.
Yeah, I mean, I've been thinking a lot about how it's easy to kind of like look the part with all the AI, with all the different things to
Mhm.
kind of fake it till you make it. But a big differentiator for people is going to be their life experience. And the
Yeah.
more kind of diversified and unpredictable and not perfect that life experience is, the more valuable it will be because it's kind of like a one-on-one. It can't be replicated.
Hmm.
And so it's just kind of cool to see friends go through their journeys and realize, like, wow, like you can hit a stride in an area where it fosters a really good quality of life for you and your family, where you still have that sense of purpose, where you can still pour back into everything that you're doing in the fitness industry, which is a perfect segue because I want to talk about this book that's coming because you've been talking about this book, and I think I gave you a shout out for the book like 2 years ago. I've been waiting patiently for the book, so I want an update.
I swear the book's coming out. Uh, the book's been through a few iterations. Life changes from all authors,
Hmm.
and yeah, the book is like pretty much done. To be honest, like we're going through one last edit where Jeb, our mutual friend's going through it. But so the book is myself, Jeb, and Mike T. Nelson, Get Fluxed. So it's just all stuff flux. a lot of it is, when I dip in and out of social media, usually it's because I have time or something, but then I always come back and maybe they'll picked up on the high flux in like walking, and it's just like it almost like I come back and everyone just trashes on the stuff we're about to like release, and I'm fired up. But no, the book's almost done. Like it's legitimately almost done. The problem is when Mike was writing Triphasic 2, and he has like some other textbooks. Anyways, it was like held up by Mike. And Mike will tell he might not say that, but it was held up by Mike for like a year. And then through that year, we're busy. Like so, we decided to write a book when none of us had time to write a book. And so the hard part is we're like, oh, it needs to come out now. And it's probably better that it's waited this long because now some of this stuff is popular, but unpopular at the same time. And so like our fear was that like I said, the trend would go towards doing stuff that works, and that is not the case. We just went around in a circle as a fitness and nutrition industry, and now we're coming back to, did you know cardio is good for you and doesn't ruin your gains? And I'm like, is this fucking for real? Like I like literally was like off social media, and I come back and like this is the stuff we're arguing about. I was like, well, luckily our position is safe because no one has expanded their mindset, and they've come to conclusions we already knew last time we talked about this. So, anyways, that's the update. The update is like I would say, like the end. I don't know, end of the year. We're self-publishing now. There's like, we got a good forward. I can't like say the forward because it's not like done yet, but like it's legitimate and it's big, and yeah, I think it'll be good.
Yeah,
it's actually good too. So like I've sent it out to a few people, but I was like, I saw you go through things and you write it, and then Mike rewrites it, then Jeb rewrites it, but like it's actually good. Like I feel like it's good. So there's that.
it's funny that you say that because there's a point to that because there's such a saturation of books right now. Like
Yeah.
there's nothing stopping me from putting a book on Amazon and getting it published in
No.
paperback like in a week.
Yeah.
And
It's crazy.
so the fact that your guys' book has actually been through some pressure, has been through some kind of like stress tests, and the data may have changed and things may have been revised. The big elements is how much critical thinking goes into like applying the concepts that I imagine will be discovered in the book. And this kind of
Yeah.
it relates to like you did a few emails recently. You kind of do your email list similar to how you do your Instagram. You kind of pop in, drop a
Yeah.
few, and peace out.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but
Back, I swear.
I really liked the chart that you had and just how you expressed how like over an extended period of time, adding in a
Yeah.
weighted vest can add up. And it's just that people aren't thinking about that because I'm like, well, yeah, like my clients who would choose to wear a weighted vest on their own free will reap benefits in like the 2 3 years that they work with me online. There's no
Yeah.
disputing that. And it's just people completely lose that when they're saying weighted vest, they're not doing anything for you. It's like they're doing things for the people that they need to do things for.
Well, the problem is like I've talked to a few people about this. Jordan Syatt recently through DMs. It's just like because he's a vaping. I was gonna say vape, a weight vest advocate, and I kind of forgot that. And he's like, I don't know why people are like trashing it. Is this for real? And I'm like, yeah, it is for real. And it's mostly because the TikTok influencers are evidence based. It's such a stupid fucking TikTok influencers. Evidence based people don't like them because they're influencing and they're gaining ground on topics that they want to control. And so people listen to them, which is like, yeah, they're beautiful people who have viral message to sell. Like they're good at it. And so they're like, well, we'll just say that everything that they do is bad. It's like, okay, like, is this really that bad? So I had to go check the science, and yeah, I obviously got fired up and put a chart, but it's exactly what you said is that like you can't look at a weight vest and be like, yeah, this thing is bad. Like it just defies all logic. The only argument you can make is like, yeah, maybe you hurt your back, or if you wear too heavy, you'll be like a turtle. But like, you could say that about anything. Like, hey, if you deadlift 500 pounds and you can only deadlift 300 pounds, you'll break your back. Like, yeah, like that's fucking dumb. So in the long term, though, it's like 1 calorie was, I think, the argument. 1 calorie a minute. Like to me, like especially if you're looking at it through the lens of like not instant gratification, one sounds like a small number, and I think this is my biggest thing was one sounds like a small number, but 24,000 doesn't. Well, you can accumulate, you know what I mean, like that many calories super easily over the course of a year, and it just kind of sheds a light on what people actually care about. Is they care about sexy and small and big numbers. Well, then let's just like make them big numbers. Like, hey, you got to do the work, and the math isn't that hard. And like you said, anyone who's invested in it already knows this. It's kind of like when the bros were like, hey, like, you gotta eat protein after workout. Protein, protein, protein. And they're like, oh yeah, protein's good. The science shows that. And then all the vest stuff, the science is actually pretty positive towards it. And I just didn't like that. We took positive studies and we're like, yeah, weightlifting's better than wearing a weight vest. I was like, wow, like running is better than walking if we want to get better at running. Go figure. So it's, I don't know. Yeah, that's my rant, but
Yeah, I mean, my approach with it is that most of the people that I end up working with the best are either like they're very general population, just living their life, having a good time, or sometimes they're the people who would not go to the gym if they didn't find
100%.
somebody that will like bridge the gap into it. And it requires a lot of creativity to get people more active across the board. And
Well,
sometimes,
that's where they're awesome.
yeah,
Like those are the exact people, and you know who those people are? Most people.
yeah,
So it's like we sell them this thing as like, hey, did you know? Like when you get a massive pump in the gym, you go 4 days a week and lift heavy weights, you're gonna put on a massive amount of muscle. It's like, okay, but like you said, like who actually does that? Like meatheads do that,
yeah.
and people who go to the gym. You know who like doesn't go to the gym? A lot of people who have these issues. And the science with the weight vest stuff was like, it was like very positive. It was I can't even remember how much muscle they put on, but they basically wore the weight vest and did like air squats and like sat up and down from a chair and did like push-ups. I think
Hmm.
it's like something like super basic you could do anywhere.
Hmm.
Like in and they gain muscle just wearing the vest and doing that. And they were like, yeah, but going to the gym would be better. It's like, yeah, if they went to the gym, they're not going to the gym. Like, you know what sounds really cool? Crushing some air squats and push-ups for 5 minutes, 3 times a day.
Yeah.
They might actually do that, and guess what? It gives them a result. They're like, yeah, but it's not as good as bench pressing and squatting with in a hack squat. Well, yeah, I guess. And so, like, I don't like dissuading people from doing activity because, like you're saying, a lot of these people where they're at, I would argue that doing like a lot of that stuff isn't helpful because they're not going to do it. So try to meet them where they're at in their environment with their resources. Weight Fest starts looking real sexy. Um, and I like that message because it's like you said, it's like the people who like it, like that's a good thing. They want to do something and are excited about it. Like, and it works. Cool. Like those are, isn't that what we want? So it's just a weird battle, I guess, to dissuade people from effort and like, I guess, motivation temporarily. Like, who cares?
Well, I
Let
find
them. Let 'em-
that's where it's important for people to connect with each other and just like talk shop about the kinds of people that they're working with. Because like even for
Yeah.
myself, like I won't necessarily make it to jujitsu as much as you will, but people can count on me to move every day. And
Mm,
sometimes my movement is doing like a weighted vest EMOM workout or something, or maybe it's getting
mm,
10 miles on the bike. And because I do that, then my clients can see that like I'm walking the talk, I'm leading by example, but I'm adapting and I'm creating some variables that I have control of, just the same as I would coach them to. Like I'll coach walking and then I'll show them how I can get 15,000 steps walking through River Valley parks. Or I'll show them how I can get an extra 6,000 steps at my walking treadmill desk thing. And then they start to realize like they can be consistently more active, especially over an extended period of time. And the things that come up in life don't have to disrupt their momentum because we can shift, we can make things work for them. They don't have to fit into that box, they don't have to be all perfectly optimal. And then ideally, that's what gets more people off of like blood pressure medication. That's what gets people with sort of like a sorted out work life balance where they're not burnt out all the time. And that's what gets people into a body that supports their longevity a lot better.
well, that's where like I guess the optimal people are selling, and I say people, but like a lot of what the information is, you gotta eat right, get into the gym, like, and like, so I'm reading this book, or I read this book, and I'm into ultra marathon, so I'm not even gonna go down that rabbit hole. But I think his name's Dean. Anyways, he wrote like an ultra marathon man or something. Anyways, at the end of the book, he has this like appendix of like stuff he does, right? And he's like, it's very important to build muscle, yada yada yada, because you're running all the time, you're expending energy, you need to like preserve muscle mass. And this dude, like, he like, so a lot of the ultra runners, to like prepare for heat training and just keeping muscle, they just do sit-ups and push-ups. You know what I mean? Like in like lunges, like they don't. Some of them go to the gym, like and they'll work out too, but like a lot of them are doing a lot of this stuff that, again, would be not sold as optimal. Well, like at what point, what's defining optimal? If a lot of the people at these like in some of these fringe sports, but just any sports in general, like they do a lot of this stuff that isn't optimal. They're not in the gym crushing 4 exercises for 4 sets of 10, trying to hit these muscle groups and yada yada yada. That's like kind of reserved for like the goal of, we'll call it like, it's kind of like pseudo bodybuilding. Like that's kind of what everything has kind of adapted to, where like a lot of the athletes don't need that type of work, and people don't need that much work. Like that's kind of what the VEST study showed me, is that they don't need that much work to see results. Even with VO2 max work, they were showing massive gains with people just doing like, I think it was like 12-minute circuits. That was also in this Ultra Minute book, but they have like basically doing mini VO2 max workouts was enough to like sedentary people to raise their VO max, have a huge amount of gains reference point from where they're at, doing almost nothing. Like I think air squats and push-ups, just like crushing stuff in like a room. Like they didn't need an assault bike, they didn't need to run, they didn't even need to walk with a vest, you know what I mean? So I think a lot of these things is people think that because of the information that's coming out, is that if I'm not doing what this person says optimally, there's no result, and that's not true. You could argue that those build more muscle, but the amount, like, yeah. And then the other argument, and this is to this point, is that there's a lot of diminishing returns. There's also the other argument. Well, if they do air sports, there's going to be diminishing returns. There's diminishing returns on anything you do. Once you get to a certain point, the amount of work to get the same return is exponentially more, right? And really, it's just usually time doing something. So realistically, the thing that we should be pushing is, what are they going to actually do for time, like longevity, like for cumulative time over the years? That's what I want them doing. And if we dissuade people from doing things that are pretty simple and lackluster comparatively to a bodybuilding workout, we'll just use that as an example, like I think that's a huge disservice.
Yeah.
Because the other stuff works great, especially for most people's goals.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, whenever I'm looking at the people in my world that I know that are outside of fitness, like, obviously the people in the fitness industry are going to have some kind of a routine, so I don't need to worry about them.
Yeah.
But then everybody else, it's
Yeah.
like, they might have never had a gym membership, they might have a hard time doing 10 push-ups, or they can't sprint 200 meters without, like, risking an injury, and it's, like, very serious. It's like you wouldn't ask them to sprint because it's a liability. And when that's like a reality in the people that surround you, like it's concerning. And so it's like, for me, I'm thinking about what can I do that this person likes that will get them more active this year than they were last year, so that they can have a slightly better outcome than they would have had otherwise. Like it's not about turning people into Olympic athletes or like bodybuilders overnight, but to get somebody who's walking like 3,000 steps to walk 9,000, or to get somebody who's never like, I've encountered so many people that you get them to do a bodyweight squat and they can't train the next day. And it always shocks me, but these people, they're out there. And when we're kind of gatekeeping fitness so much, those people aren't going to squat ever again the entire year, aside from like sitting down and standing back up. And
Yeah, and like I've been to, we both train people.
Yeah.
Like we've been through the routine. Like it's just like, I don't know. I get like fired up because a lot of these lower, we'll call them lower level movements. Like two fitness people do, like these are like baby movements. They're not like hardcore compound lifts or whatever, right? And it's like, what are we trying to train here? And what a lot of people want is like they want to be less weight and they want to live longer and they want to do stuff. Well, like I would argue most of the people, myself included, if they get too wrapped up in the gym, I start to feel pretty bad. And you know what, like, makes me feel good? Doing the thing that I'm trying to do better.
Yeah.
Walking is that. Going to the park, doing all these things doesn't require actually a very high amount of specificity in compound lifts. It requires specificity in doing shit.
Yeah.
Doing those things. And so like this crossover from like the gym to this isn't as profound as I think most people make it out to be. They're like, well, if you get in the gym and put on lots of muscle, you're going to be doing all this stuff a crazy amount. And in a lot of cases, most people lose their athletic ability because they don't do other stuff because they're like, well, I'm just going to go in the gym.
Yeah.
Well, like I didn't run for 4 years and I turned into a fridge and lost all my athleticism because I was like pushing the gym. You know what I mean? So I think a lot of people lose that because they prioritize stuff that's not that important to them. When, again, well, you did jujitsu. You start doing jujitsu. Like, I'm not going to sell jujitsu as like a longevity thing. But like you start to move in certain ways. Like the gym doesn't always help that.
Oh.
You know what helps? Doing jujitsu.
Yeah.
You know what helps? Getting up from the bed. Like getting up out of a bed. I don't, you know, I think the squats to a chair with a weighted vest, that helps you get up from a chair.
Yeah.
You say, oh, there's like these people out there. I would argue that that's most people who need to go to the gym. Is like it's kind of, it's not sad. It's just the reality is that, like if you're inactive, those things are actually fucking hard.
Yeah. Well, the thing that I like to use as sort of like a filter on like how to get people to make shifts is like incorporating something that's like a necessity and essential of life. So for example, when people have to move, I get calls every time somebody has to move, mostly because I offer support or I'm like checking in with them and I hear they have to move or something. But sometimes it's because I might be the only person in their circle who can lift a coach. And when I think about that, I think about people who, like my dad has helped me lift coaches and he's in his 70s. And sometimes he's the most capable person in the room with me. And so it's not so much that age is the barrier, it's mostly that like how you identify is the barrier. Like if you are someone who's going to get up and just do what needs to be done and what needs to be done is physical, then you're going to make sure that you're in a condition to be able to carry out those tasks.
Well, and like I don't know, you've moved a lot of people, and like I don't know, so like I'm sure a lot of people have had this experience. Like you have this big friend that lifts and crush it. Jimmy's huge. And then you get some dudes that are just like active or like old man strength or whatever, and they're way better at lifting couches.
Yeah.
Because like trying to like optimally lift stuff, and like the output is like not there. Like and so like and I felt that like the assumption of the things I can lift well when moving has been astronomical in terms of the assumption, and like I'm struggling sometimes, and so like the gym didn't really help that.
Yeah.
Like, and that's a for real thing. Like I don't know, like some of your gym buddies, yeah, they're strong sometimes, but like they're not strong in different angles. Like jujitsu is a perfect example, right? When you have technique and angles and experience, there's people that have no right being that strong.
Yeah.
And they're way stronger than strong people. I can hold like this, like essentially when I started, like I can hold people in like one stiff spot. Outside of that, I was useless.
Yeah.
And so the gym just kind of sucks in a lot, the way it's set up. And like, I guess I'm not trying to dissuade people from going to the gym, but it's like, think about what you're trying to do when you're trying to do these things. Is a lot of times like, I don't know, you get those farmers, they have a life of work and moving stuff. I don't know, it sounds like a pretty good workout program for the tasks at hand, which is life.
Yeah, I mean,
like
that's sort of the perspective I have. I'm like, look, if I don't have as much training sessions in the gym or at jujitsu, but I'm like going out to help my dad with like moving trees or moving rocks, like that counts. It's more valuable than anything.
The calorie expenditure is probably nuts too.
Yeah.
Like my buddy, he goes, he was an elite athlete, but anyways, he has a ranch. And I can't keep up to him. Like, and so he's not in shape anymore. So let's start there. But he can like cut wood. He has a chainsaw and we're going crazy, lifting stuff and just going hard. And I'm like, man, I'm bagged. He's like, man, you go like lift. Like, what's wrong with you? He's not even in shape anymore. And he's just crushing stuff because he has a ranch. He has to do work. And the amount of work he can do is way more than what I can do.
Yeah.
Like I'm almost inefficient because of my muscle size and how that muscle is being used inefficiently. I'm almost like shittier at it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I might as well shed the muscle because I can't do these tasks. And so I can do tasks in the gym. And I can do stuff now. But this would have been back back when. And so this is like a harsh reality of sometimes like that stuff isn't really needed.
Mm-hmm.
It was needed for powerlifting, for I could squat and deadlift and bench. Like I couldn't, like you can't just set up a box for a moving truck on like a bench and just push it. Like I could have crushed that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, anyways.
Yeah, well, it all checks out, and like even as I've gotten older, I've realized that my priorities have shifted. Like in the past, it would have been like a little bit of training for vanity, a little bit of training for ego, but now it's for like purpose and like use case. Like I want to be able to, like if somebody wants to race me in the field, I want to be able to race them in a field.
Mhm.
If somebody wants to play basketball, I want to be able to play basketball. If I want to have like the cardiovascular capacity to hold my own in jujitsu, but I don't need to be like the most competitive person on the mats. And I want to maintain as much injury-free life as possible, which has led me to realizing that I have to train my neck now. Like I remember
Yeah.
seeing you with your iron neck, and I was like, "What's going on there?" And I'm like, "Oh, that's what's going on." Now I'm doing it, and so I have like a cable set up, and I just like train my neck,
Mhm.
and I do the cat cow, and I do the breathing, and I do all the things, and it's just like life just teaches you what you have to do, and when you don't care about what anybody else is doing, it's a lot easier to do those things.
Well, and that's kind of where, like, talk about experience, but like I played sports my whole life, and in most cases, have reached a fairly high level in most sports. And so I've been around athletes my whole life. Like, not to say that the gym's not a big aspect, I think it is, but I, I have countless people who don't work out, and they're just unreal at stuff. And so it's more this idea that the requirement is you have to be in the gym, and I just don't believe that. Like I think that there's so many things that you can do. If the gym's one of them, like hey, like listen, I used to love training. You can get me out of gym. That's cool. Like again, if that's what floats your boat, do it. But let's not like what I say on the Instagram post, yuck, people yum. But like there's benefits in most stuff. Like you can make an argument for anything. You could also use a counter argument. This is better than this. But the biggest thing is like, what are people going to do? And I think we're out of touch as a fitness industry on what people are going to actually do and what they like to do. Partially because we're just inundated with in that world,
Mm-hmm.
and like a lot of them, like if you go look at like the sports, so like the fitness is like this little micro community of fitness professionals and all that stuff. If you step into the strength and conditioning world, man, if they were on Instagram, some of these people that you don't even know, and they were looking at some of the stuff that is being said, they would be like, "This is stupid."
Mm-hmm.
And again, there's a whole whack of people who've been doing stuff for years, and it's just like there's so many ways to do this thing, and so I just hate when we kind of get to a spot where this is bad and this is good. It's all good. It's all can be bad.
Yeah. Like the messaging I try to put out there is just do stuff. And like
Yeah, do
sometimes I'll
shit.
share like a silly meme or a video or something, but it's just like do stuff, enjoy stuff, have fun, go on big hikes, go on walks, carry things, carry a big backpack, carry your groceries from the store and go like 3 kilometers each way. Like, and when I suggest things like that, I usually test it out myself. I'm like, is this viable? And then I test it. I'm like, it's viable. You just have to be crazy enough.
Well,
But yeah,
yeah, and know what the costs are. Like know what the costs and risks are. Like listen, I power lift. I saw like I can come from most people's perspective because I've done it. And like you're saying, hey, I tested this out. I usually test out things to the end till I break, and I have pretty good perspective, I think, on a lot of things. You give up stuff when you like you're always giving up something to get something.
hmm,
And so in a lot of ways, I think we overemphasize certain things at the cost of others, like I was saying with athleticism. And a lot of it ends up becoming, we just need to know what we want to do. And I think we're out of touch with what people want to do. And a lot of them just want to feel good, move around, run with their kids, not be out of shape. And you can achieve a lot of that with sit-ups, push-up, diet, and going for runs and walks and rucking,
yeah,
using the stairs. You know what I mean? The lion's share of the results is probably wrapped up in that. And a lot of those things are the things that are demonized.
yeah,
Like maybe not nutrition, but like running used to be bad. Now it's good again, but it's like, yeah, running injures people. It's like, man, how are they going to be able to run if they don't run?
yeah.
You know, what's the specificity here? They're like, well, if they just go to the gym, they'll have the strength to run. Man, we need to like start emphasizing like general overall activity.
Yeah.
Like we've come a long way as a information age generation, but in a lot of ways we like are gotten stupider. Like, and are doing less. And that's kind of statistically true. We've been the most obese we have ever been. And yeah, it's food, but I would argue a lot of it's activity.
Well,
General activity, stuff, doing stuff. We don't do stuff because we don't have to anymore. And that's a problem.
the other thing that I've kind of been noticing, and a lot of it is based on my own personal experiences, is just like stress management, how we hold that stress, how we deal with that stress. So, like, the
Mhm.
examples for me is that, like, I am really good at working. I could work from like 5 in the morning till 2 in the morning if I had to. Generally, it's more like a 7 in the morning till 10 p.m. unless I have something else, or maybe I've mixed in some other obligations, going in the gym in the middle, stuff like that. But by carrying that like mental load and the kind of like that passive stress that kind of sits in your mind and not knowing how to manage that, how to deal with that, how to regulate that, it can stack up. And I've witnessed in myself, like I'll have more tension in my shoulders and my back, and no amount of mobility will fix it. But then I would start to be like, okay, like let's do just like a wind down phase, and let's listen to more calming music, and let's drink more water, and like let's manage our caffeine, and just different protocol. What it was night and day. Like I felt like 100% better, and I realized like how much of a variable that is. And then I realized even further that the people who weren't at least trying some fitness nutrition things would probably be even far worse off. So I'm curious to
Yeah.
know what's kind of like your protocol for keeping yourself in check, being like a dad, being a teacher, being a coach, being everything else.
I think a lot of so I'm not going to undersell recovery because like I obviously do a lot of recovery stuff, but I think people's capacity is so low that what they need to do in order to have to recover is so low that like everything is stressful.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like so you mentioned like working, people like sit all day, do all of this. And so like doing an air squat hurts or like going for a walk hurts or hurts is like it like crushes them. It's like, well, you need a lot more to recover if you're not active. And so like trying to reverse a lot of like I said, we don't need to do stuff. So like we don't need to do stuff. So I try to make things inefficient by doing stuff. I can have my walking treadmill when I'm teaching. I try to do walks. Um, Again, I try to be active with jujitsu. If I do anything with my kids, I try to like go for a walk or go to the park. And when we're at the park, I'm not sitting on my cell phone. I'm in there chasing, being the fucking lava monster. But you'd be surprised that, like, cumulatively, if you just take an approach of trying to fit more activity, and this doesn't necessarily mean going to the gym, sitting in a car and going sitting on a bench, time sets, and getting 10 minutes of work in 2 hours. Like, that's not a lot of general activity in my mind. I'm thinking, how do I just do stuff? Get up, move, be standing more. And I think that that has more of a payoff for people's recovery, right, as anything else. Because, again, what are we recovering from? Well, if you can't do anything, you're gonna like if it's sleep is great. I think sleep is obviously good, but that's not realistic for most people in terms of like the ideal amounts. So it's like I think activity is still going to give them the highest payoff on energy return. So like my thing is I'm trying to just be as active as possible. And you know what? I'm tired a lot.
Hmm.
You know what? I try to like do more stuff, and then the amount of things that make me tired is more and more and more, meaning I have a higher capacity more and more and more. And I just try to like burn myself up. I try to go to bed tired
Yeah.
so that when I go to sleep, I'm fucking going to sleep. I'm not sitting there reminiscing on like the day's problems because I sat all day having these like weird mental problems. Like I work them out
Yeah.
and go to bed tired. And then I have something to recover from. And then it's like all these sort of things fall into place. Well, how do I do more stuff? Well, I gotta eat better. I gotta cut my caffeine off. I gotta go to sleep. Like, I gotta read before bed. Hey, now blue light starts to look pretty bad at night because I'm like, fuck, if I don't get my sleep in, I can't do my run in the morning. Like, so, like, a lot of these things kind of come with the territory, but we put such an emphasis on recovery before we even have anything to recover from. Give yourself a reason to recover, and now these things, these problems solve themselves a lot of times. Not all the time. People can burn themselves out and not actually do that. But I find until you have a reason to recover, I think a lot of these problems are just, they're not made up, but I feel like when we don't have anything to solve, we create problems almost. But when we're physically active, a lot of these problems stop creating themselves. We're not stressing about fucking traffic and about this and that. You go to jujitsu. You ever felt bad after jujitsu?
Always better.
Yeah, always better. Like, the problems go away.
Yeah.
They're there, but solving them a lot of times is the same regardless of whether you go to, like, you know what I mean? It's the same route to it. You're just not reminiscing in it. I think having a general overall capacity gives people higher capacity to recover, higher capacity to do other stuff, and a lot of even their work life problems have to solve themselves because now they're not dipping into the cup every time they have a stressful meeting because their capacity is higher. Listen, I have a fucking 5-mile run I gotta do. I'm in shape to do that. Now this meeting isn't fucking spilling me over in stress. It's just gonna make my run suck more, but I can handle it. Well, if you're not active, I feel like those things have a much higher intensity rating, or RPE, so to speak, than active people. I think active people literally can crush way more stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's my overall take.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. And like something that I often bring up quite a bit, Kyle Dobbs always gets a shout out for this because one time he said something along the lines of like a farmer never has trouble sleeping or something.
Yeah, I'm a bit tired.
It stuck with me because it kind of reminded me of like the days when I'm putting in a lot of effort helping my dad and then we both just like fall asleep on the couch. Like there's nothing left to give. We put in a full day. And so anytime that I'm like truly stressed, I always correlate that with like a need to move more, be more active. And then when people are like, I'm doing everything, but like, I have this weird nagging pain or something. It's like, okay, like maybe you could chill a little bit, but it doesn't mean don't move. Maybe in this instance, it means go for a walk, but make it a social walk. So like some of the things I've done, I think I've probably walked through the Mill Creek Park like 200 times in the last like 2 years. And every time I walk through there, it's at least 10,000 to 18,000 steps, depending on who joins me or if I'm going by myself. And it's just that way you can kind of, because people need to have like the social bucket filled, people need to have the movement bucket filled, people need to have like some outdoor fresh air, just some uniqueness to life. And if they can check all of that, then they're way better off.
Well, I think there's one more. Michael Easter kind of had a good version of this in his book. He has like the misogi, but basically just the concept of like doing something very hard that challenges you that you may or may not be able to complete. High rate of failure, let's just say 50-50 shot of doing it, but essentially doing hard things. And I think a lot of people's reference point for what actually is stressful is so low.
Yeah.
Because they don't challenge themselves enough. And I think like that will look different for everyone. You don't have to do misogi, but like when you're drugged in the deep water, jiu-jitsu is a good example. When you're dragging, you're tired, some guy's about to choke you. A lot of things aren't worse than that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then a lot of these problems aren't problems because you're like, yeah, it was way worse when someone was trying to choke me out, or like just any athletic endeavor, or just whatever, rucking and getting your heart rate up high and being able to push an extra minute on a run or whatever. A lot of the problems in life aren't that bad in perspective if we have it, right? I think people aren't chasing perspective enough because they're just like, their perspective is like, man, work is stressful, or like my kids are stressful or whatever. But a lot of things aren't that. You can have a way different perspective when you understand what's really threatening and what's really stressful, like almost objectively. I know it's everyone's subjective, but there's stuff that's like fucking way worse than a lot of people's problems. Having those perspectives, I think, makes a lot of things seem easier to deal with. And you can achieve that through fitness and sport. You can obviously go build homes in fucking third world countries. But I think like you accumulate those experiences, and I think a lot of these things, I don't want to say go away, but they definitely get better. And I like the physical aspect of it because you have control of that a lot of times. And I think most people don't choose to take themselves in deep water for anything, right? That's physical. A lot of them do it mentally, like, or like not, like you can do stupid stuff, like, hey, I'm just not sleeping, work through the night and do all that stuff. But like in terms of stuff you can adapt from, I think if we add more of that stuff, I think people would be surprised at how much they're capable of. And again, not dissuading them from whatever they want to do, like whatever that is. Hey, you want to do fucking 100 push-ups with a vest is your goal? Sweet. Like, it doesn't happen by accident. And I think that we as long as we can encourage people to do stuff that doesn't happen by accident, I think is a huge win in any scenario.
Absolutely. And I mean, the one final thing that I'll say to kind of add to this little like combo ramble we got going on is
Yeah.
that when people are willing to do things without worrying about what'll happen when they do it, I think that's
Yeah.
important. Like not worrying about like getting it perfect the first time they try a new fitness modality, or not worrying about whether like I once ran an outdoor trail run and I took a wrong turn and I did one of the laps twice when I should have just done it once. And I got a did not complete at the end of the race. So I didn't finish it because they were taking down like the finish line by the time I got there.
Yeah.
But I still ran the run. There was nothing. I took no like personal loss. Like it was a little bit embarrassing, and I felt a little bit sheepish. But then I had signed up for that trail run. I did the thing. I didn't have any stats to show for it, but I was one experience further ahead than I would have been had I not tried it. And a lot of people
Yeah.
look into these things and they're reluctant to try because they're scared of what it would feel like. They're not going to go play pickup basketball because they don't know anybody on the team, or they're not going to go to the gym because they've never been to a gym before, or because they have some misconception of what it would be like, whether it's like a Planet Fitness or an Evolve or a Good Life or
Well,
whatever.
that's why I like I said, I'm into ultra runners. I'm on a kick, but like I've always loved ultra running in terms of there was this documentary called The Barkley. It came out like a long time ago. Anyways, it's my favorite documentary ever. But anyways, it's an ultra marathon, anything over 50 kilometers. Anyways, I would bet, and even out of shape people, without time cutoffs, you could go a lot further than you think. I think there's a lot of people that could probably run a marathon, but they think they got to run. They're going to run this like 7 minute mile. A lot of these ultra marathon people, they're like walking a lot of it, right? It's just like, can you get it done in whatever the cutoff is? And I think a lot of times there's like, fuck, what is it, like 15-minute miles? Because essentially, if most of it, the cutoffs are like 4 miles an hour ish, right? That's not that fast. Like I'm walking at 1.6 on my treadmill, it's double this. You know what I mean? I think a lot of people can go from point A to point B a lot further. It's just that they think a lot of these things are unattainable because they're dissuaded or scared or whatever. And that's why I like when people are inspired to do stuff. I like reading stories about David Goggins and yada, yada, yada. A lot of it's mental, but I think a lot of it is just people don't push themselves and they don't actually know like the limits of what they can do. And I don't think it's that crazy. I don't think you need to be in crazy shape to do a lot of these things that they think are unattainable.
Yeah,
Like I don't think they're that far away.
yeah.
But you're also not going to know if you don't do shit.
What's like the times like I'll do sometimes there'll be a timed interval for like a plank, or maybe it'll be like as many reps as you can do within a minute or something. And sometimes depending on who I'm working with, I'll press pause on the timer and give them an extra like 20 seconds to see how much they can actually do, because they're so used to just stopping when the timer goes. I'm like, they got more reps. I'm just going to pause this thing. They're going to think that the
Yeah,
time's going slower. Or when we change up like the plate combination,
yeah.
instead of like all blues or all reds, just
They
change
have
it
no
up.
idea how much weight it is.
And
Like I've done that.
yeah,
Like I've like put in like more weight. They don't have a fucking clue. They're just like, yeah, like you're kind of just put like 20 pounds on. They like do it like, oh, that's pretty. That wasn't that bad. I'm like, yeah, you just went up by 20%.
yeah,
Like you just like don't know what hard is,
yeah.
or you have like rate limiter on there because of this expectation that's not real, right? Like I like the AMRAP sets are a good one too. Like like you've been sandbagging. Once you kind of like get people in a certain situation, they like lift like double what they've been lifting for reps. It's just like, man, you've been sandbagging, but they don't have that reference point
Yeah.
because they don't know what deep water is. And when I say deep water, like the metaphor is just like you get dragged into deep water, like you're struggling to get out, and like you're panicking. Like you need to get to that spot, like legitimately. And I think people's idea of what that is so low that it's no wonder like nothing happens. And I don't know how you experience that. Like there's lots of ways to do it, but I think if people are searching for that, I think there's not really much bad stuff. Like there's injury and dumb stuff, but I mean like I think at a certain point, it's like what's the alternative? Just being shitty, like not experiencing all the good stuff because you don't want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I think like the alternative isn't really injury's not really a good excuse a lot of times
Yeah,
in
well, I
my
mean,
mind.
most of the people who have deceived through changes in volume to their programming, where like they did something heavier without opting in, but they did it
Yeah.
anyways, the
Yeah.
outcome has been like their health markers have improved. Maybe they've gone paragliding. A lot
Yeah.
of the people that I've worked with, like things have changed in their personal life for the better, different job, different relationships, stuff like that. So nothing bad has happened. And
Yeah.
it's simply from having somebody who can teach you how to bet on yourself. And so it's important that people take that away from our conversation, that just do stuff and realize that you could probably do like 20% more than what you said you could do.
Yeah.
So go do it.
I'm not immune to it. Like I don't I don't even know if I told this story many times, but like at World's Nogi,
Yeah.
like I had a full on panic attack. So I won the first match and I was completely bagged. I was coming off of, I'm pretty sure I had COVID. And like I just recovered like 2 days before leaving to Vegas and it was just like had a shitty first match. And against a former world champion, so it was like good. It was a very hard match. I won by like 3 points, like barely. Like I couldn't pass this guy's guard. It's just fucked. Anyways, barely get out, barely get the bullpen, and like I just like had this like, and I looked at my heart rate because I had my whoop on. My heart rate didn't go above like 120 after the match, which is like not high, but I felt like I was dying,
Yeah.
and so like I'm like dry heaving. I went to the bathroom and laid on the floor, and like basically hit. I was like, I'm not doing the semifinals. I didn't say anything, and it was whatever. My coaches, one of my coaches went and grabbed me. He's like, yeah, like Luke got them to hold the match. Like you going out? I'm like, no, I can't. Like I'm so embarrassed, but like, fuck. Anyways, he's like, you probably should like at least go there to tell them you're not going. Anyways, I'm like blacking out as I'm getting there, and like I'm going to tell them I'm going to quit. Like fuck, this is going to be embarrassing. Like super embarrassing. Anyways, whatever. I get there and Luke is basically like I'm like yeah, like I'm gonna like pull out. He's like yeah, that's not happening. Like what do you mean? And like everything switched because like I was already like I've already given up. Yeah, I was like done, fucking dying. Think I'm dying, whatever. Then he's like, tell yourself whatever the fuck you want to hear, or whatever you tell yourself whatever the fuck you need to hear to like go out and step on the mat. I'm like, because you're doing it. I'm like, okay. Just like went back into the bullpen. They pulled this match for like fucking 10 minutes. Like I go and they're like, yeah, you gotta go on the mat. I'm like, and I just like laughed. Like that's what got me on the mat. Was like this is fucked, because not like 10 minutes before that, I was on the bathroom floor, this gross fucking Vegas conference center, with like thousands of people, fucking pubic hair on the floor. Like it's just disgusting, terrible story. And like I went and competed. I got choked out, but like I lasted 3.5 minutes. I actually got the first takedown, and then like I was gassed, like my legs were fucked. I had a, like I said, I came from a full blown panic attack. I wasn't in no condition to fight. But anyways, the point of that story was like already quit. Basically, that with Mom Masogi is like I overcame. Essentially, like I was done, like completely fucking done, and I still went out and did it,
Yeah.
and I felt great afterwards. If I didn't do that, I probably would like have regrets my whole life. So I'm very glad jiu-jitsu is still a team sport and people had to get me there. But like that experience alone, like if you the metaphor getting drugged into deep water, I was drugged into the bottom of like the deep water and I still was able to compete. Did not win. This story does not end well. But I felt like I learned the most from that over anything I've done, I think. Like truthfully. In like that it took that amount. Like you don't have to go to World's Nogi to do that. But like there's a point where you have a fucking choice. And I already quit. And I still did it.
Yeah.
So like almost like I got like a second chance. And I think if you can get to that point where you have to like a choice in the matter, and like you're really like this is not good. That's the choice. That's the one. That's where you want to be. And hopefully you choose yes and you don't quit like me. But then I didn't quit. I did it.
Yeah.
So it felt great. Best experience ever.
Well, it definitely illuminates like how teammates can be such game changers. Like I like seeing your jiu-jitsu journey because I know your teammates are awesome to you. And then I like my own jiu-jitsu journey because like I have a lot of my favorite training partners. And like the funny thing is like the last time I went, there was another guy that I trained with and he hadn't been there in 8 months. So we are kind of on like similar footing. I hadn't been there in like a month or two and he hadn't been there
Yeah.
in 8 months. And so it was just a big reunion. And so it's like it doesn't have to look perfect, doesn't have to be perfect, but understanding that how other people can influence you for better. And how sometimes what they say is uncomfortable and you don't want to hear it, but you should probably listen because it's probably going to better you even if you don't win. Lots to be taken away from that. But to kind of keep us on track for time, I'm going to get you to give one piece of advice for people between now and the next time we do one of these episodes. So it could be like a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now. You never know. What's your piece of advice for the people?
You more shit. Uh, I don't know. I'd say like do that thing you wanted to do, whatever that is. Because this isn't even like a seize the moment thing. It's just like I think that there's like this, especially if you have, I don't know, I think everyone has a thing that they want to do. Like try to work towards it. Like you don't even have to do it. But I think like I said, a lot of people don't take the time to consistently build to something that's, I don't say unattainable, but like a grand goal,
Yeah.
right? And so I think having dreams and grand goals and like trying to achieve it does so much more than there's like science on this necessarily achieving those things. But I think like that's where you learn to enjoy the process. But I think that people are like, yeah, it's like too big or whatever. And I think a lot of times that is the right thing. That's the right thing to go after.
Yeah.
Uh,
I like it.
don't quit your life and to do that. But like you're, maybe the surrounding fitness. I don't know. But like I think like yeah, you need that in your life. I think people need more of that in their life.
Hmm. I like it. Well, thank you again for joining me on the show once again for I think this is the fifth time. So
Sweet.
it's been great.
Yeah. Enjoy it. See you guys later.